Should we talk about Jamal Adams, or is that just not worth it? Do you guys have anything you want to say, or do we just need to wait and see on that one?
I'm leaning towards not getting Jamal Adams now.
Okay, tell me why.
At first I was, because I think they need to sit for a year and go get Joey Bosa. Chargers, when do they pay top dollar for anybody?
When do the Niners pay top dollar for anybody?
If they go to a different team.
Got him.
Hey, good point.
So I believe he is a candidate to be tagged and trade next year. On a tag and trade, what do teams usually get? Like a second? The Seahawks got Clowney for a third. I think you could get Joey Bosa for probably just a first to get that deal. Maybe even a second and a third. And that's why I think they need to sit and wait for that. Cut ties with D Ford. Go get Joey Bosa. He's a way better player, way more proven than D Ford has been in this league. And I think you could get Jaquiski Tartt, he has dropped some interceptions. He is nowhere near Jamal Adams' level, but he is a top 10 safety in the league. So if you could retain a top 10 safety on a cheaper deal and then make a trade possibly next offseason to get Joey Bosa, instead of being stuck with, D Ford, who's could only play about 25% of the snaps, and then Jamal Adams. I would rather go get Jaquiski Tartt and a Joey Bosa.
Interesting. What do you think, AJ?
I think I'm going to agree with Leo to a certain extent. Hold off for this year, but for my reasoning, it's a couple. It's one, it's hold off on Jamal Adams because you're probably going to have a new defensive coordinator in 2021. So let's not put someone in Adams, because Adams he's a dual threat, but overall I think he's skewed more towards being a box safety. And that's what's something that loves about why Saleh loves having Ward and Tartt, is because he can do both with them. And it kind of keeps disguising his coverages, which is awesome. And that worked a lot to make the pass defense better than it was. But Adams, don't trade for him now. Don't even trade for Bosa. You're going to keep Bosa for a year, then you're going to have to extend him after giving up draft capital. If anything, if that's the case, then let's just trade for Adams now, because then at least you have him for this year and next year. But then for me, it's just, just don't even touch either, because then it's especially Adams, because then if his cost is going to be much higher than it would be for a Bosa, because of, like I said, 1 year left on his deal because he is franchise tagged. But if you do Adams, then I'm just getting too much similarity with what the Los Angeles Rams did and Jalen Ramsey. Maybe not costing that high of a degree, because I think the Niners would even cap themselves. Although they did say they were in Khalil Mack a couple years ago. So they are known. They should be known that, hey, when a deal like this emerges, they could be up for it. Then again, that Khalil Mack deal probably was Kyle Shanahan, because he likes building from the trenches. A safety, Jamal Adams, might be something different. But overall, a move like this, it just feels like it's too much of the Rams. Let's learn from the Rams' mistake and not do that. Because if anything, you're right, Lily. Tartt is not bad. Let's just, if you're going to do that, but retain him. But Adams is so good. So it's like, it's a little bit I'm torn here. But my brain and logic is going to tell me just don't touch Adams. Don't touch him, because of the draft capital is going to come there. Because you hardly have draft capital anyways to begin with going forward. And it's really a tough sell for me on him.
Okay, let me sell you. I'm saying I still think this is going to happen. And to me, he reminds me of Troy Polamalu. I don't know if you guys remember. You remember Troy Polamalu.
Come on.
Yeah, you guys ain't that young. All right, sorry. So sorry about that. Here's what I think. I mean, the Jets don't want to trade him. They're probably not going to trade him for a while unless they get blown over by a deal. But eventually they will. Coming down to the trade deadline, they're going to have to give him up if he doesn't want to be there. And the way I see it is the 40. I know you, Leo, you said that they had the Super Bowl window could extend 5-6 years. In the NFL, if it's open now, you don't know what's going to happen down the line. And I think if they get Jamal Adams, to me, they become the instant favorites to win the Super Bowl. You could argue they're the favorites already, but I don't think they are. I think they're in the conversation. They're top 5. But when they get Adams, if they get Adams, they're right there, or if not above the Chiefs. So that's really important. And then finally, we like Tartt, we like Jimmie Ward, and they both played well last year. But let's say, what do we know them for? Getting hurt. So let's say Jimmie Ward gets hurt week 2, or Jaquiski Tartt. That creates even more urgency for the 49ers to do this. If Jimmie Ward breaks his arm or does something where he has to miss 2 months or 3, you got to make this trade. So I think I already think I've heard that they're interested. I know that they're interested. And I think that they're going to make sure that they're among the final suitors like they were with Khalil Mack. But if something happens to one of those starting safeties, I think things could accelerate quickly. That's it. That's 45 minutes.
Not the Jimmie Ward.
Not the Jimmie Ward.
No.
I'm just saying.
I mean, Ward would fill in pretty well.
Good point.
So it wouldn't necessarily ramp up anything for Jimmie Ward being hurt.
Fair enough.
But
you remember last year when Tartt went down, what happened to the defense?
Yeah, he's missed 19 games in 3 seasons. That's
right.
important.
That's right. And the reason he misses games is on him. He often throws his body around. Like he'll dive into ankles, knees, thighs, and he'll break his forearm, separate his shoulder. Yeah, and you appreciate a strong safety who throws his body around, but at the same time,
the game's different.
Yeah, and you got to protect yourself. The team needs you for 16 games a year, not 9.